Here we go. Hi guys, welcome to the Bluebird Farmhouse. If you guys are new here, welcome. If you came over from the Fermented Homestead page or from any of the other amazing creators that are taking part in the Fermented February collaboration, then welcome. If you have not seen any of that, then I am going to leave a link down below for all of the other amazing videos, all of the great stuff that these people have put out there for you guys. There's also some fun giveaway stuff happening, so make sure and check those out. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite fermented thing to have in our house that we make and use all the time, and that is some good old-fashioned apple cider vinegar. So I use apple cider vinegar in tons of different recipes. I use it to make my bone broth all the time. It just adds so much beneficial nutrients that are really, really good for us, but it's super easy to make and it costs like pennies because it's really just using scraps for the most part. So I'm going to show you guys today how I make that. The first thing that you're going to need to make homemade apple cider vinegar is apples. So we keep a ton of apples at our house all the time. So it's just something that we really obviously eat a lot of. But I also really like to cook with them. So today I'm actually going to make an apple crisp. If you guys are interested in that video, I will post it pretty soon. But I'm going to be working on an apple crisp, and I am going to peel and core all of these apples. So I have two bowls. I have one for my apple slices, and then I have one for all of my peels and cores. If you have an apple slicer, this is even easier. I'm not really sure where I picked this one up at. I've had it for years and years and years. Basically, you just stick the apple on the side here, and then you just turn it. And it peels and cores it right for you. So I have all of my apple pieces, but all of the little scraps that I don't want in my apple crisp, normally I would just throw away, but instead today I'm going to collect them in a bowl. Right now I have two different kinds of apples. I have Red Delicious and I have Granny Smith. It just happens to be what I had. You can do this really with any kind of apple. You just want to make sure that they are washed. Organic is best, but if you don't have that, at least make sure that you have some washed ones. So I'm going to finish this up. I will probably end up with, 7 or 8 apples. Okay, I have all of my apples peeled and cored and kind of chopped up. So I'm actually going to set the apples themselves aside. That's a great snack if you just want to snack on that. I'm going to make an apple crisp for our dessert for today. And with this, which would normally either be chicken scraps or trash, I am going to make some homemade apple cider vinegar. So I'm going to start with a gallon jar, and I'm going to add some sugar and water to it. Okay, so I have about 12 cups of water in this. That is 3/4 of this gallon. And for every cup of water that you're using, you want a tablespoon of sugar. This is not a place that you want to use honey or maple syrup or another kind of sweetener. You need that actual sugar in there. So I am going to use some organic cane sugar. Since I have 12 cups of water, I am going to have 12 tablespoons or 3/4 of a cup of organic cane sugar to that. Just plain white sugar works too. I've used that as well. So my water is pretty warm right now. You want it to be, because you want it to be able to dissolve that sugar. So I'm going to, with a wooden spoon, stir this together to get that sugar nice and dissolved in that water. Okay, once my sugar is dissolved, I was using organic cane sugar, that's why it is this color. If you use just plain white granulated sugar, it's going to be clear. I am going to take all of these scraps, and into the jar of sugar water they will go. You'll notice that I'm putting everything in there. The cores, the stems, the seeds, all of it is just going to go right in there. I'm not going to take the time to separate any of that out. And that is fine. Okay, so then from there, I am just going to push all of this down. And then you want to cover this where it is still going to get some air, but no bugs or anything is going to get into it. You might notice, this is true for really anything that you're fermenting on your counter, if you've ever made sourdough or anything that is fermented on your counter. It is something that bugs are going to be attracted to. So you might have some fruit flies or some gnats that start to be attracted to it, but that's okay. That's a natural thing. That is what is supposed to happen. So I am going to cover this with a cloth and then put a rubber band around it so that it is tight and secure on there. I just have a piece of like cotton fabric that I just grabbed from my craft closet and cut off and then set that on there. So I am going to let this sit for about 2 weeks at room temperature. And every day I'm going to come in with my wooden spoon that is clean and push all of that stuff down. You don't want to leave it for more than probably 24 hours without doing something to it, or the top of those apples can start to mold. You don't want that. So you're going to just start to push everything down every day or so. It takes seconds, and in about 2 weeks we will check on it. In the meantime, you'll start to see some bubbles forming and the color is going to start to change a little bit, and when that happens, you know you are on the right track. Our apples have been sitting in the sugar water fermenting for about 2 weeks now, and I'm just going to take the top off. So I have my just piece of cotton fabric with a rubber band just to keep it tight and on there, safe, and not let anything else in. As you can see here, we have the bubbles around, and that is a really good sign. We want that. That means that this has fermented. So now what we're going to do is take our basically hard apple cider is what we've made, and I have a big bowl that I am going to put, this is just a colander that I have put some cheesecloth in. I'm going to put this right over, and then I am going to drain everything into this big bowl. I am going to make sure and drain this fully. And what we have left in this bowl is going to be what turns into our apple cider vinegar. So those little pieces that we still had in there from all of the apples are actually not going to go to waste. I am going to give that to my chickens so they will have a fermented food with the apples. They're going to get a lot of probiotics and nutrients from that. So that is going to be super beneficial. Not just, this is going to be super beneficial for us, and that's going to be super beneficial for our chickens, which is always a win. So I love anytime that we can make something and use it as well for other places in our farm, and this is one recipe that works really, really well for that. Now I am just going to put this in my bottle. This is a little too much for me to try to pour. I'm afraid I'm going to make a giant mess with it if I try to do that. So I'm just going to use a scoop and scoop it out, and I'm going to fill up as many of these jugs as I can. It's going to be at least 1, maybe even 1.5. Okay, I have my jug filled up. I will grab a jar in a few minutes and finish filling that up, but this is what I am going to set in a dark, cool place just in the back of my pantry, and I'm going to forget about it for about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. And in about 6 to 8 weeks, I am going to have homemade apple cider vinegar. It's going to have the mother in it. It is full of nutrients for us, and it is something that I use on a very regular basis in my kitchen. So just taking apples that I was going to throw the scraps away in the beginning, I was able to get something really, really beneficial for my family, beneficial for my chickens, and it really cost me no extra money. This is definitely one of those recipes that I really, really love to have in my arsenal. And the fact that it is a fermented food that we can add to our diet is just that much better. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.